Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here, broadcasting live on Nebraska's Superstation, Nebraska's radio station of record. Glad that you have joined us. You're not going to find another show in the Omaha area that talks about what we discuss, and that is the growth and development of your favorite city. Big shout out to our title sponsors who make this possible. The first one is Cheer Athletics. They are the nation's #1 all-star cheer gym, 15 locations in the world, and the best one is right here in the Omaha area, Papillion, Highways 50 and 370. Our other sponsor is Dingman's Collision Center, frequent, constant Best of Omaha award winner for metro area locations. Well, before we get into our content today, I want to bring on my co-host, a man who is a legendary real estate deal maker, local celebrity, and all-around interesting fellow, Trenton Magid.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Beals.
Well, good morning, Trenton. And we want to start the show just by putting something out there. First of all, if you were affected by the severe storms that came through North Metro a couple days ago, we are thinking of you. And our sponsor, Lockbox Storage, wants everyone to know that they are offering 2 months free rent to anyone affected by the storms who might need storage while conducting repairs to their homes or business. They do have locations near the affected area, Waterloo, Blair, and Bennington.
They do a great job.
And we also have another big announcement before we get into our news of the week. You know, at Grow Omaha, we are constantly looking to bring more and more value to you. And as a media company, that means content. Content is king. And we launched 2 new news sections this week. The first one is nonprofit news. It'll appear as a section each week in our newsletter. It also has its own page on growomaha.com. And our second one is arts and culture news. You know, we added sports a couple months ago. Now we have arts and culture news. Again, it's also on the newsletter and has its own section on growomaha.com. We want to welcome our 2 new writers who are doing those sections for us. Nonprofit news is written by Mark Champion. Arts and culture news written by Joe Champion. And if you're thinking, gosh, those guys have the same last name, it's because they're brothers. So we have the Champion brothers.
And they come from a long line of champions.
If you want to go and see their first report, just go to growomaha.com. And once you're on the homepage, just scroll down a little bit and you'll see the nonprofit news and the arts and culture news. Still have all of our old stuff as well.
So we're up to 12 contributing writers?
Yeah, we have a nice team of people who are out there scouring the metro area looking for news that Grow Omaha followers value. And we will continue to grow it and develop it as we continue to become the #1 source for local news in the Omaha area. Well, speaking of news, it's time for our development news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. EagleMortgageCompany.com is where you find them online. You can stop by the office, too, if you like, 114th and Davenport. Either way, Holly Schneiderwind and her team at Eagle Mortgage do a great job of helping people with the American dream. It is late April. Prime home buying season is just starting. Like I guess the craziest month of the year is June, but it's really picking up right now. And if you're thinking about doing that, call Eagle Mortgage. They'll take good care of you. EagleMortgageCompany.com.
I want to give a shout out to a wonderful family, the Schneiderwin family. We work with Todd and his son Will, and we work with Holly and her team at Eagle Mortgage. And Holly's father-in-law and Todd's father and Will's grandfather, Bill Schneiderwin, who was a longtime public accountant, CPA, wonderful man, passed away yesterday, lived a full life, and everyone that knew Bill, I worked with him 25 years ago with different clients. We're thinking about the Schneiderwin family, and we wished Bill to rest in peace.
Well, we got some big news today in the news section. The first story is the city of Council Bluffs is exploring the possibility of a major, very dense real estate development on the east bank of the Missouri River. The space is currently NP Dodge Park. It's been a golf course for a long time, donated by the family who runs NP Dodge, where Trenton and I spend a lot of our time. At any rate, this area is, as I said, on the east bank of the river, but just south of Interstate 480, just north of Harrah's Casino. This is not a done deal or a for sure thing. The idea is to kind of figure out ways that Council Bluffs can increase housing. They, like the city of Omaha, have a severe housing shortage. In Council Bluffs, the rental vacancy rate is only 1.7%, and owner-occupied home vacancy rate is only 0.5%. So there's a serious shortage of housing there. And so the idea is, hey, we could put in a bunch of townhomes, apartments, high-rise apartments and condos in this area. And to kind of give you an idea, if they do go through with this, the golf course right now brings in only about $35,000 a year in annual revenue for the city. That's like practically so small you can't even measure it when you're talking about a city's budget. The redevelopment of the golf course, if fully built out, would be almost $23 million in taxes. So from $35K to $23 million. Looks like it would be about $1 billion of assessed value if it happened. The early plans are looking at 4,000 new housing units, 250,000 square feet of commercial space, and the renderings, which you can see on growomaha.com, look pretty cool.
I think that is something that they should explore. Have they picked a developer, or is this development-driven or city-driven?
This is city-driven, and it's extremely early. It'd be way too early to even have a developer, as far as I understand.
I wonder what the soil conditions are, because you're so close to the river.
Soggy.
Soggy?
Would be my guess.
You're going to go down pretty far with the pilings.
Yeah, and, the area is pretty flood protected there. There's a really good levee system, but I'm sure there would be a lot of those considerations,
Yeah, I
too.
think I'd start like on the third or fourth floor as far as apartments go.
You're not going to buy a garden level?
Not a subterranean, no.
The University of Nebraska Board of Regents approved the first intermediate design report, which means there's still a long ways to go, but it's coming along nicely for Project Health. Project Health, what's that? It's the $2.2 billion hospital that is planned for the southeast corner of Farnham Street and Saddle Creek Road. It's a 7.5-acre site, was once home to the Monroe Meyer Institute and the J.P. Lord School before both moved to different parts of town. So this thing is still probably looking at an opening date well after the year 2030, so we have a long ways to go, but it will be a game changer for Omaha. Thousands of jobs, will probably save a lot of lives. By far the biggest investment the university will have ever made, and it is projected to be close to a 400-foot tower, so it'll be the fourth tallest building in the city.
That's going to make a skyline change for sure.
But we'll be talking about this for a long time because there are many, many steps that have to happen before you actually have patients going to this hospital, which will be one of the coolest hospitals in the country.
What I think is great is that, Jeff, is the whole Nebraska Medicine campus there, UNMC included, which is part of the same thing, is in concentric circles, basically. You're seeing apartment projects, you're seeing revitalization, just like we saw with Midtown Crossing, that the neighbors, it's kind of their boost to say, hey, maybe I should paint my house. Maybe I should clean it up and do some redevelopment and things like that. So I think it's really positive to increase the density. We talk about the 30,000 people by 2030 and 30,000 jobs, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I wonder how far along we are on that. We're probably getting there.
Okay, we're making good progress. And construction is underway on the final piece of the $300 million Riverfront Parks project. You're probably thinking, final piece? I thought that thing was done. Lewis and Clark Landing, Jean Leahy Mall, Heartland of America Park. Yeah, mostly. There was one lingering part just north of the Kiewit Luminarium, and that is an outdoor pickleball court complex. That was just kind of the last piece, and then the Mecca, which runs all of that, was ready to go with it, but they were waiting on these permits. They have to get permits from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers because of its proximity to a navigable river. That's all been taken care of now, and construction has indeed started on the pickleball courts, and so once that happens, the Riverfront Parks complex, as envisioned, will be finito.
When I was playing pickleball over at my dentist's office the other day, waiting for my turn in the chair, I'm like, you know what? I don't think the downtown Riverfront Park has pickleball. They need pickleball. It's like the one place in Omaha that doesn't have pickleball.
And soon it will. And finally, Nebraska is a middle-of-the-road state for older workers, according to Senior Lee's analysis of the best states for workers over 65 in 6 data categories. We're only 21st place. The best states for older workers are Washington, New Hampshire, and Alaska. The worst state is Mississippi. But get a load of this. A record 11.2 million Americans 65 and over are in the workforce. In the next 8 years, it'll be up to almost 15 million.
Wow. It kind of reminds me of like 70s bands. If they were not working so hard and still performing on stage well into their 80s, we wouldn't have a lot of touring bands to go see.
And there's your news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. I'm going to take our first break of the hour, and when we come back, we're going to bring on Steve McCoy. He is the Chief Strategy Officer for the Omaha Airport Authority. We're going to talk about Epley. All sorts of construction going on there, whether it's the front drive, whether it's the canopy. $1 billion in total with this expanded and remodeled terminal. So we're going to get an update on all of that. It's going to be very interesting whether you are a frequent traveler or not. You don't want to miss this. You are listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, along with Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid with you. We are brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, along with Cheer Athletics. Cheer Athletics is the nation's #1 all-star cheer gym, and that is really becoming a massively popular sport for kids to learn to compete, learn leadership, and tremendous physical fitness skills. It's actually going to be an Olympic sport in 2028, so get involved in the all-star cheer revolution by going to caomaha.com. That's CA as in cheer athletics, caomaha.com. Well, one of the biggest projects going on in the state of Nebraska right now is at Epley Airfield. That is where $1 billion of construction activity is in full-throated sprint. It's really impressive if you haven't been there for a while, and we're going to get an update with it. We have with us our good friend Steve McCoy. He is the Chief Strategy Officer with the Omaha Airport Authority. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Trenton. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you back on. And so I usually, over the course of a year, usually end up going through Epley about maybe twice a month, which is a nice amount of increments for me to keep tabs. And as a Omaha development nerd, my favorite thing to do is to get there a little bit early for my flight and walk around to see the progress. It's mind-blowing right now.
You know, even for me, going every day, just seeing how much change is happening. I've been at the airport for 23 years, and this is the most significant thing that's ever been done at Omaha's airport. So we're really excited about what it means for travelers. It's really, truly going to transform the travel experience here in Omaha.
Well, thank you for all the wayfinding, the signage, the easy pickup, the cell phone lots that people can call, and so they don't clutter, and they don't have to pay for anything. Just pick up their friend on the curbside. But give us a 30,000 foot overview, especially in airplanes, about the project and what's going on.
So if I were to look at the entire program, which we call Build OMA, this is really the culmination of our 20-year master plan that we started actually back in 2017 with the new North Parking Garage, the rental car facility. We started the entrance roadway project. We're doing this front drive roadway and canopy project, and really kind of the capstone on this whole thing is the terminal modernization. This has been decades in the work, though, gentlemen. A lot of planning, a lot of design, and now we're in that implementation phase. And so this is really kind of the most impactful part of the program, but the end results are just going to be, again, transformative for travel.
And we've talked about this a lot on the show, but remind everyone some of the new features that will be in the terminal when it's fully completed in a few years.
Yeah, one of the first things we're doing is we're going to consolidate. I shouldn't say consolidate. Our PR folks don't like that term. We're going to centralize the security checkpoint to have one security checkpoint and a new central pavilion. That central pavilion is really going to be the centerpiece of the entire airport facility. It's going to be a very voluminous space. 33-foot ceilings. You could actually fit a football field inside this central pavilion. Our security checkpoint's going to be in there. We're going to have a whole new concessions program in that space. I know that's something you all have covered in the past. We're going to have a unified concourse, larger gate hold rooms. Our gate hold rooms right now are about 1,500 square feet. We're going to increase that to 2,600 square feet. We're going to add additional gates. We're going to have international flight capabilities, which I know is something we've talked about on the show in the past, a whole new baggage system, and it goes on and on. There's just a lot of really important amenities. We're actually growing the square footage of the terminal almost 72% from 385,000 square feet up to 646,000 square feet.
So when you have one centralized check-in system, I assume when it comes to TSA and staffing, it's easier to keep your eyes in one place rather than two separate?
It will be a much more efficient operation for the TSA, absolutely.
So we're talking with Steve McCoy with the Omaha Airport Authority. And once you get past security, the new terminal will have, I think it was 19
Good memory, yeah.
Retailers that are mostly food and beverage, but also some stores. When you look at the site plan renderings, the site plan and the renderings, it's almost kind of like it's a miniature shopping mall once you get past kind of like some of the big airports we fly through at the big hubs.
And part of the planning process, we looked at some best practices from other airports, similar size, similar operations. And again, we wanted to have a really premier customer experience post-security. And so you're right, every passenger that's arriving and departing, whether they're a resident or whether they're a visitor to this city, is going to have the same opportunity to move through that space and take an opportunity to maybe partake in some of the food, beverage, and retail options there.
Are we going to have a moving walkway or two?
There's no moving walkway in this
we're
current
not big enough yet.
Trenton's out.
I mentioned the square footage increase, but the walk distance change compared to what we currently have is going to be very minimal.
I just the voice. The moving walkway is going to end.
The moving walkway is ending. Caution. Yeah. Except for, could you imagine if you're working as an employee, one of the retailers right next to one of those things for 8 hours in a row, you hear
that all day.
Caution.
Yeah.
They don't hear it.
I'll say this, though. One of the program goals and objectives was to maintain the customer convenience of the existing airport facility. And I think you'll see when we move into this space, it'll still be a very convenient space.
I'm going to do crowdfunding, and we're going to do like 20 feet of moving walkway.
Thank you, Trent. That's a good contribution. So we are talking with Steve McCoy from the Omaha Airport Authority. And Steve, right now, when you're in the terminal, it's hard to see a lot of the terminal construction because there's walls in the way. But when you get into your plane and you start taxiing, you see it very clearly. And it appears to me that a major portion of the future long concourse is framed out and partially enclosed. Kind of give us an idea about where we are in the progress for terminal progress right now.
That's a great question, Jeff. So if you've come into the terminal, obviously you've seen the work on the canopy project in the front drive. That's actually wrapping up right now. And so as folks have seen that, you're right, they haven't seen a lot of what's behind the scenes. We have a lot of temporary walls and temporary conditions. But behind those walls, significant progress being made. In fact, we're about 30% of the way already through with construction on the terminal modernization program. One of the most important early milestones is a new central utility plant. This has all the cooling, heating, power, utilities, data that's going to serve the long-term growth of the airport. We actually just completed that central utility plant recently. That's an important piece to do because we have to split the terminal. You've probably heard about this terminal split that's occurred to build that new central pavilion that I've talked about previously. In the meantime, work on the new unified concourse is also progressing, and there's just a lot of work going on, again, behind the scenes. So when we turn this over to the public in 2027, I think people are going to be really impressed with the work that's been done.
So eventually, the time will come where the current North Satellite Terminal will be demolished. How far away is that, and how's that transition going to work when we get there?
Yeah, that North Concourse is one of the oldest components of the existing terminal, and that will be demolished to extend the unified concourse furthest to the north. That's really the last phase of construction. So once we open that new central pavilion with the new checkpoint, concessions, the unified concourse, at that point, the north concourse will be demolished and we'll extend the new unified concourse out in that direction. A component of that last phase are those international gates in that international arrivals facility.
So you said 2027. Is that the year where the whole entire project will be done?
2027 is really when we're going to have the big kind of grand opening piece of that central pavilion. That north concourse will finish up in 2028.
So you're talking about the central pavilion and the utilities plant right next to it. All the baggage handling stuff, will that be under the central pavilion or part of the utility plant?
Actually, it will be under that central pavilion. We're really excited about this feature. Again, it'll be behind the scenes, so the public won't really get a chance to see it, but a highly sophisticated, automated, inline check bag inspection system. We've worked with the TSA on this for a number of years. It'll be a market improvement from an efficiency standpoint from what we currently have at the airport, but that will be underneath the central pavilion. So as you're moving through the security and you're grabbing something to eat or buying a newspaper or whatever, that'll be happening underneath your feet.
How many carousels?
For the inbound baggage system, there will be initially 6 carousels. We currently, or I should say we formerly had 6 carousels, but they were much smaller. The linear foot on those carousels did not really support the larger aircraft that we're seeing in Omaha right now. So these carousels will be much larger and be more efficient than what we previously had.
We're talking with Steve McCoy from the Omaha Airport Authority about all of this construction and the real total reformation of Eppley Airfield. But we've got more to talk with him after we break for the news. So stay with us. The news is coming up and then more airport talk. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Cheer Athletics and Dingman's Collision Center on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Cheer Athletics and Dingman's Collision Center. Please know that we hope you never, ever get into a car accident. But statistics say every day a certain number of people in this town will. And if that happens to you, you just go to Dingman's Collision Center. They will make it just like new. Trenton and I have used Dingman's for our cars on a number of occasions, and we highly recommend them, and we know they will take good care of you. Dingman's Collision Center. Yes?
I was going to wait till you finish, but go ahead.
Okay, it's all you.
Okay, so you don't have to be in your car for it to get damaged. Like a tree could fall on it, a neighbor could back into it.
Meteorite.
Yeah, meteorite.
Lightning strike.
Hail damage. They do that. They do mechanical, and carry on.
Thank you. So we have with us Steve McCoy today. He is with the Omaha Airport Authority, and we have him on the show periodically just to kind of keep us updated with everything that's going on there. $1 billion worth of construction right now in full swing at the airport. And Steve, let's talk a little bit about the front entrance. The canopy's really coming along, a lot of concrete work outside the front door. And for the last several months, people have been temporarily doing drop-off and pick-up on the first floor in the garage. Where are we with this project? How is it coming along? And how soon before I can drive my car on the new concrete?
Let me start by saying the point we're at right now is the most impactful part of the entire program. Between the Canopy Roadway, the terminal modernization program with that terminal split, this is the most impactful part. And so we really appreciate the patience of the traveling public as we work through these developments. It's not going to get any worse than this. We're going to progressively continue to open up facilities. So that canopy itself is wrapping up, Jeff, but the work on the terminal modernization program, which brings that central pavilion all the way out to the curb front, is going to continue for the next year. And so because of that, the passenger pickups and drop-offs will remain in the first level of that south garage. And in fact, travelers have gotten really acclimated to that operation.
And it's covered. It's great.
Well. It's covered. It's only a short walk in. We continue to have commercial vehicles, so shuttle buses picking up and dropping off folks underneath that canopy. And the canopy itself, we just put the last piece of glass in it on Tuesday, so it's completely covered.
That's a milestone.
People out of the elements. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Steve, let me ask you this. Last year, Eppley had record traffic, a very impressive number for a city this size. By the way, we reported this on Grow Omaha. We looked at several airports at other cities that were like maybe within a 250,000 people, Omaha size, either smaller or bigger, and it compared extremely favorably. In fact, there was more traffic through Eppley than Oklahoma City, which has like 400,000 more people. But that's great, record traffic. Are we concerned at all during construction, because some people will see it as a headache or a hassle, that we could actually affect numbers temporarily for a couple years, or will people just fight through it?
I think folks are really excited about what this program is going to bring, and there's a lot of community support. We have folks advocating for this terminal, including you two gentlemen here with Grow Omaha. You've always been big advocates of everything going on out at the airport. They see the vision of what's happening, and they're really bought into it. Again, this is the most impactful time. In fact, we've lost over 50% of the public space in the existing terminal due to the renovations that are ongoing right now. But what we're seeing from our airline partners, they continue to add new service, and the traveling public is looking forward to making use of that. That 5.2 million, obviously a record number. We bounced back from COVID, and this terminal is really going to support that growing traffic here in Omaha for many years to come.
Trenton, during the break, was asking, hey, let's say this new terminal is a smash hit, which we know it will be, and Omaha continues this very impressive growth that's going on right now. How is the new terminal being pre-engineered for even more expansion? Because, hey, someday we'll have 10 million passengers going through the terminal.
That's really the beauty of the design, what we're doing. The existing terminal had no ability to grow. This new terminal design is very scalable. So we're building right now, the contract that we have will build a terminal that will allow for up to 6 million annual passengers. However, it has the scalability to grow to 8 million annual passengers and beyond. And so everything is being equipped so that it can continue to grow, continue to add equipment, continue to add security checkpoint lanes, concession space, new gates in the future.
I was just thinking about, Jeff, in 10, maybe 8 years, that when global warming really takes effect and we have year-round 70s weather, we're probably going to have 4 or 5 million people here, so we need that capacity.
Yeah, I like you should, if it wasn't for real estate, you could be a city planner because you think so far ahead.
And a meteorologist and climatologist.
So when we think about adding new airlines or new nonstop routes or even bigger planes on existing routes, my understanding is that is almost exclusively driven by numbers. However, would the existence of a better, bigger, more desirable, modern terminal help us maybe get some of those new routes, or maybe attract some more traffic by itself? I mean, in other words, when this thing opens and it's a lot bigger, it's a lot nicer, does that alone help us attract more air service, or is it just purely a numbers game?
In a word, no. It's not a field of dreams. If you build it, they'll come. You're right. The airlines make business decisions based on general economic conditions, and we have a great, growing, vibrant community. You cover it every week here on Grow Omaha, and so the airlines recognize that, and they want to make sure that they can provide air travel needs to this community. And so the terminal itself will not provide new opportunities outside the fact that we are adding the International Arrivals Hall. So this facility will unlock those travel opportunities.
And there's no guarantee we get international flights or regularly scheduled international flights, but with the way we're growing and trending, it looks pretty good. Without making any promises, what would be the most likely nonstop international flights that Epley might be able to get within the next 5 to 10 years?
Again, being an airline decision, we do know there's a tremendous amount of interest from the airlines to fly from Omaha, especially near international, and that's really kind of Mexico and the Caribbean. We see a tremendous amount of demand from Omaha, especially in the first quarter of the year when it's cold here in Omaha. People want to go to Cancun, Mexico. We have 150 people every day boarding flights in Omaha, connecting somewhere else to go to Cancun. And so there's an opportunity there for nonstops. Places like Cancun, Punta Cana, Cabo's on that list, Trenton. I know Cabo's your favorite. So somewhere down the lines, we hope that'll provide opportunity for those.
What about private airplanes, especially Berkshire Hathaway weekend, College World Series? And I don't know if that's is handled by the other adjacent private services, but when private airplanes want to come internationally to Berkshire Hathaway weekend or something, is that a possibility?
Yeah, they're already coming. We already have U.S. Customs and Border Protection at the airport. They're located in what we call a general aviation facility, and they can clear non-scheduled arrivals of up to 22 passengers, I believe. But this will unlock the ability to have scheduled international arrivals for larger aircraft.
Yeah, and Trenton really would like to lobby for that whole Cabo flight there. But if you talk about Cancun, though, 150 a day in that first quarter, that could almost justify a daily flight.
There you go.
I mean, but certainly probably a 3 to 5 day a week type flight.
Yeah. People here in Nebraska, especially when It's January, February. Love to go where it's warm there in Mexico.
Me gusta Cancun. All right, so Steve, as we look ahead, why don't you tease a few of the retailer and restaurant brands that will be in the new terminal come 2027, 28?
Jeff, as you mentioned, we got 19 locations in the terminal, and the vast majority of these are post-security as opposed to pre-security, which was the case with the existing terminal. So we're really excited about that. But of those 19 locations, we'll have 17 different venues, and of those 17, 9 are local. So great places like Pitch Pizza, Block 16, Fernando's, the Mill Coffee and Tea, Runza. I mean, people are really excited just to have Runza in the airport. And then beyond that, there are going to be 22 plus additional brands, local brands, food, beverage, retail brands that are going to be offered and sold throughout the terminal as well. So it's a really exciting change to the passenger experience, and we know that the community is pretty excited about it too.
Jamba Juice?
No Jamba Juice in there right now. We will have a Sambazon acai bowls and juice bar with that.
Pickleball courts?
No pickleball courts. Again, a big volume of space in that central pavilion, but no plan for pickleball courts.
That's part of the 2035, 2040 expansion.
It'll be gone by then.
Yeah, no one will like pickleball by then. Steve, we really appreciate everything you and your colleagues are doing to bring a world-class airport facility to Omaha. So, hey, thanks. Keep up the good work, and maybe let's have you back in the second half of the year, and we can talk about progress.
Sounds good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Steve McCoy, Chief Strategy Officer at the Omaha Airport Authority, talking about Eppley Airfield expansion. Going to take our final break of the hour, and you know what that means. When we come back, it is the Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round, in which we talk about a lot of things in a very short period of time, and the list is long. So stay with us. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, Cheer Athletics, and Perkins Kreitzer Construction on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals here at your service, sitting next to Trenton Magid. It is your Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round, brought to you by who? Perkins Kreitzer Construction, of course. They are doing all sorts of projects around town. It doesn't matter whether you need to build an office building, if you want retail, if you have a civic or community or philanthropic building that you need to have for some purpose, they build it. They do a great job. You know that Funny Bone Comedy Club is leaving Village Point and going to Miracle Hills, 114th and Dodge. Perkins Kreitzer Construction has been busy getting that project ready to go, and that center is looking awesome. Funny Bone will be one of several new businesses coming to that area. But at any rate, make sure you reach out to Perkins Kreitzer Construction anytime you need help with any project. You can find them at p-cconstruction.com. All right, Trenton, here we go. The former Omaha bakery space in Elkhorn will become an Eileen's Cookie Store.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right by the UBT Sports Complex and Bolero, opening June 28th.
Cookie trend is still hanging on.
June 28th is the opening date. Ashland Brewing Company getting really close to opening its signature destination attraction type of building, southwest corner of Highways 6 and 66 in Ashland, Nebraska. The opening is this summer. This is like 11,000 square foot building, very prominent up on a hill. It just looks like one of those places where you could easily spend an afternoon.
Like the Elsnore Brewery.
And I'm sure a lot of people will. All right, K-Pot, Korean barbecue and hot pot, plans to open its first Nebraska restaurant in the former Johnny's Italian Steakhouse at Village Point Shopping Center. A year ago, K-Pot announced it would move into the former Granite City building at Westroads, but the deal fell through. So that kind of delayed things a little bit, but they did find a new spot, Village Point. This is a very rapidly growing chain out of New Jersey originally. All you can eat Korean food. What could possibly be wrong with that?
This is where you go and cook your own food, right?
I have not been to one, but I know they have 106 locations.
I believe you cook a lot of your food, the meats and stuff at your table. So it's like, hey, honey, I don't feel like cooking tonight at home. Let's go cook at a restaurant.
Shouldn't you have to pay less if you cook your own food?
I would think so.
The Hollows, an upscale wine and cocktail bar, will soon open in Dundee at 5019 Underwood Avenue, just across the street from KFAB. It's next to Pitch Pizzeria. In fact, it's actually going into the former Pitch Party Room space. Tentative opening date set for June 15th. A company by the name of Unity Seafood Cajun Grill and Bar has filed for a liquor license with the city of Omaha for a new restaurant concept at 7605 Cass Street. That is a former Outback Steakhouse.
6,000 feet, I think.
Trenton, I remember when that Outback Steakhouse opened in the 90s, you and I went to the soft grand opening.
Wow.
And now it's becoming a Cajun restaurant.
Can't believe they let us in.
Artisan Boards of Omaha will host a grand opening event April 23rd for its new brick and mortar location in the Shops of Legacy. The exact address is 16920 Wright Plaza. The local business launched in 2019 as a catering company and will offer grab-and-go charcuterie boards, plus sandwiches, wine, free samples, and a selection. Free samples, I'll go just for that.
And candles.
And a free selection of honey and candles for purchase at the event. That's pretty cool. Alrighty. Terra Gaucha, a Florida-based Brazilian steakhouse, plans to open May 29th in the former Charleston's restaurant building near 137th and West Dodge Road. We previously reported April 20th. Sorry, our apologies. We were a little off on that, but hey, that's what the city document said. At any rate, dare I say, there's people that play drinking games with every time I say at any rate.
Yeah.
I've been told that when people run into me in public sometimes, you always say at any rate. At any rate, the restaurant is the ultimate churrascaria experience with fire-roasted premium cuts of carved tableside meat.
Sounds delicious. At least they cook it for you.
So it's worth a little something extra there.
I want to know these listeners that are drinking right now at 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. At
any rate, Corn Coast Brewing, a Lincoln-based brewery, will officially open its Omaha tap room today, April 19th. The address is 10717 Virginia Plaza in La Vista. This is kind of an interesting spot because they already have Cross Strain Brewery, Pint 9 breweries. So if you want to go get a lot of brewed beer, you can just go to one spot in La Vista.
It's liquid business, hey.
Artemis Tea and Botanical Shop is making an intra-Blackstone District move next month. They're already in Blackstone District at 40th and Farnham, 4013 Farnham to be exact, but they're moving a few blocks east to the Lazy Leopard Cocktail Lounge space, what used to be the Lazy Leopard, at 3618 Farnham Street. They're going to keep their current space as a production and fulfillment space because they have a very nice online business as well. So Trenton, there was a study done by Nation's Restaurant News trying to figure out what teenagers love. And if you can figure out that, you're quite the marketer. At any rate, among beverage places, see, I did it again. Among beverage places, teenagers love Starbucks, 57%, Dunkin', 11%, McDonald's, 6%, Dutch Brothers, 6%, Scooters, 3%. Right? Based right here in Omaha.
It's unbelievable, the Scooters with venture capital and operations. It's cool to see a homegrown favorite.
And that's your show for today. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Magid.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, Cheer Athletics, and Perkins Kreitzer Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 right here on Nebraska Superstation, the Blowtorch News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.